Howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast. This is episode 583, the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. We're doing it live, and I'm your dashing host, Chris. With me is my good friend and co-host on a victory Sunday evening, Michael Gray. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's, we're going to go through a 13-point road win that feels kind of weird considering how the fourth quarter went. But, another win, 4-1. On a day when, the Seahawks lose at home and the Eagles lose at home, and you got to feel good about that. Anytime you can get a win, it's a good deal.
Yes.
So.
All right. Sorry. I had a little comment action going on. Yeah, sorry. So, no, it was great. This is there's a lot to clean up here. The Lions have a lot to clean up. We have a lot to clean up, but it came out with a win. Felt easy, then squirrely, then good.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know.
I mean, it's, we talked about this a little bit last week. I think one of the hallmarks of the Dan Campbell Lions is that they make bad teams look bad. And there's, a lot gets made of trap games and are they paying attention and all this other stuff. And the Lions tend to take care of business when they should. And they looked like a team that should have been up by 50 at halftime, the way things were going. But, you've got just enough hiccups in there with offensive line play and people getting dinged up in the secondary and a couple of big splash plays that I'm sure Kelvin Shepard will talk about sometime midweek when he does his press conference. He's going to have some things to say about those big plays there late in the fourth quarter, but just enough to keep it interesting, but never really in doubt.
Yes,
which is weird because they did close to within 11. You're like, what if it ends up being they score 24. What if they score another?
The PTSD didn't fully kick in, at least for me.
Yeah,
I was like, it was like, wow. All right, well, let's get into it. We'll talk about it a little bit. Ready? You ready to go there, Michael?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
We need a left tackle. I love Taylor Decker, but his availability is the ability that's starting to hurt. Next year, I think we need somebody there that's going to be able to take the mantle there for him because it was obvious we didn't have a strong left tackle today. That's we'll just start right there.
Yeah, I mean, from just a couple of hours before kickoff when the news broke that Decker was going to be out and Giovanni Manu was going to get his first start, a lot of breath holding, and I think you saw why. Dude isn't ready. He's not ready to play football at this level, and got exposed a couple of times. And it's one thing if it's just your bad performance in the secondary, you get beat, you give up a touchdown. If Giovanni Manu gets beat, Jared Goff dies. So that's an important one they've got to take care of, and it bears watching because Taylor Decker said earlier this week when he was interviewed in the locker room that it was about managing chronic pain, that was his issue. That doesn't stop. That's not going to go away all year. That's it'll linger. It's gonna flare up. I mean, he mentioned that he called Ragnow. Yeah, sounds a lot like what Ragnow was dealing with.
He's got rags in his ears. That's the thing. We don't need all that.
Right. Yeah, you're not lying. You're talking to a guy that's out there catching muskie for a living now. So,
yeah. Okay, well, that's it. Left tackle is a concern. Let's talk about the secondary. That's a little bit of a concern, too. And what is it, the bug that comes, it seems, for this fucking team like no other? My God, Gray. What is it with the injuries?
Yeah, well, and why do they all have to be concentrated? Why's it got to be just the DBs to the point where you've got Trey Flowers, who was signed 45 minutes ago, and he ends up on the field in this game. Because you had TA and then you lost TA, and then it sure looked like he was cramping. I don't know how we're not taking care of that at this level, at the National Football League level. But yeah, you're already down. Reed, Rakestraw lost for the year. Then you lose TA. Then you lose Yassine, and pretty soon you're watching the Ja'Marr Chase show. Well, you're watching the Ja'Marr Chase show. Yeah. It was immediate, and they located it. That's what the NFL is going to do. They're going to find the things that you don't do well. They're going to find the places that you're hurting, and they're going to exploit them. Because every team, I don't care how bad they are, if they're in the league, they can do it.
That's what they're paid to do, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's why they're in the NFL, because they can. All right. We're keeping our eyes out for the post-game press conference. We'll have Coach Campbell on there. No rush this week like last week. So we'll probably get Goffster on there. We'll hear from him, and we'll do some calls. Maybe we do some calls after Dan, but before Jared, and squeeze some folks in, just have some conversations, and someone's going to get cut off when we pull the straw on Jared. Or actually, I can make it so we can finish that call and then pick up Jared. I got this, my friend. My production chops are in place. So after the Campbell press conference, we will do some phone calls before Jared.
Be curious to see what mood the coach is in.
Yeah.
I think last week, you went. He mentioned it in the presser, and then you saw, if you watched the locker room video, he said, "Look, this wasn't great. I'm not going to let it ruin a Sunday, but we've got work to do." I think you walk away with the same feeling after today. You see some of the deficiencies. We were just talking before we fired up the cameras here. Man, you play like that the next 2 weeks, and you got real problems, because Kansas City's going to find their footing. They are. You just don't want to be there when they do it. And then, the Buccaneers just went to Seattle and beat the Seahawks, and they're a handful. And they were a handful for the Lions already. They were a problem. So you've got better competition coming down the pike before the bye week, when hopefully you start to get some guys back and you start to see some of the guys that are on the injured list, like Lee McNeil, make their way back into the roster. But they've got things to tighten up. I'll be really, really curious to see where Dan Campbell's head is at in the postgame.
Yeah. Larry Wilson in the chat. Man, you are probably not the answer. Man, you are probably not the answer. It's early, but it didn't look good. And I mean, Decker was hated for a long time because of his inopportune holding call moments. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that Manu can't be the guy, but he's definitely got some work to do to be a starter, right? And that's that.
Well, yeah. And, I think that's to be expected. It just wasn't, you hate to see it rushed. You hate to see a guy pushed into action on late notice. And, I have been very open, at least in the Slack and on some of the conversations we've had, wondering about these projects. You got guys that are projects. You saw Broderick Martin was a project, didn't work out. He's no longer with the team. Now you got a guy that's responsible for your quarterback. And that project, the stakes are so high. And I understand there aren't left tackles to be had. It's October. Mm-hmm. I saw some of the folks in the Slack saying, well, they got to go out and they got to sign a left tackle. Like, well, you can't. There's no such thing in October. Those things don't exist. It's like, we need another starting corner as well. Like, okay, well, guess what?
And there's teams that Manu would start on. That's the thing. I mean,
they just played one.
Hard to yeah.
Yeah, they just played one. He could take a Bengals helmet and he'd start tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you hope that Dak just needed one extra week, and that this doesn't become a lingering on and off thing where you're never sure of his availability, because it's certainly something you saw exposed. And other teams now will take notice, because there's an entire game's worth of film now on Manu. That didn't exist before. Nobody had that. Nobody knew he was going to be in, including your opponent, which actually can come in handy. So now there's tape out there for him. They'll be looking at how to exploit 59 if he's on the field next week.
Yeah. Mm. 2 games coming up. We got KC and Tampa. Yeah, big ones. Why is it that I'm not as nervous about KC as I am about Tampa? Am I wrong here, Gray? Am I
no, to this point,
Fantasyland?
No, to this point, Tampa Bay's been playing better ball. And Tampa Bay already represented a problem for the Lions. They were a problem for them last year. They were, they're a tough opponent. They're really, really well coached, and that defense takes care of business. So yeah, no, Tampa Bay is trouble. Kansas City still. I mean, this was my nightmares. I was watching, Yassine get dealt with, and obviously you saw TA go off again for the second straight game, and I'm thinking, and the next guy's Patrick Mahomes. Well, that represents issues. I don't think you want your secondary depth being down to the bare studs when you got to play Mahomes, but that may well be where they end up. So
yeah. Well. We'll see how that goes.
All of this after a 13-point road win. Like I have to keep saying that even for my own sanity. They just won another game. They're 4-1.
2 safeties. I mean, one maybe didn't get counted.
Are we up to, I think by my count, we're up to a safety, 2 strip sacks, and a sack that Aiden Hutchinson doesn't have on his resume because of secondary penalties between Branch and TA.
Yeah.
You're talking about what could be the difference between a defensive player of the year award and not when you start stacking up those kinds of stats, and he's being robbed of 1 or 2 a week now by troublesome flags in the secondary. It's a bummer, but he's playing out of his mind. I mean, that's the good news. They did make life really tough on Browning. If anybody had any issues with the pass rush a couple of weeks ago, maybe you don't anymore. And you're going to need it because, again, that secondary is banged up.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to fix it some way, and one of those ways is by getting after the quarterback, making him uncomfortable.
Yeah. Uncomfortable opposing quarterbacks. That's something beautiful. The numbers that have been pulled off of I have this worry that the numbers that are pulled off of Hutchinson's stat sheet because of penalties are going to be enough alone to get the defensive player of the year, right?
Yeah, well, it would get you an MVP nod, just the ones he's been robbed of.
Gosh,
Speaking of numbers, once again, I know I'm a broken record with this every week now in these post-game shows, but very quietly, Jared Goff, 19 of 23, 258, 3 touchdowns. Guys, he's got a quarterback rating of 153 this game.
Yeah, but
goes out, dude, he's so efficient in this thing. That dude is nails right now.
How do you, but how is it that you can have 100% passing completion percentage, a touchdown, and not even crack 120 QBR? I think Montgomery was robbed.
I know I got some traction on that with Twitter. I noted that at one point, David Montgomery's QBR or QB rating, rather, because they're different. His QB rating was 118.8. And at that point, Jake Browning's was 6.6. So he could have gone to play for the Bengals and been their starter too, just like Manu.
Yeah. 65 yards, Montgomery rushing, 54 for Gibbs. It felt like Gibbs would have had double the Montgomery yards. I don't know why. Yeah. Because his were just those greasy kind of inside runs that he would get 8, 10, 12 yards on. And Montgomery's, knuckles, right? The harder runs, the bruisers. But 11 more yards than Gibby. That's pretty. I wouldn't have thought that. And just watching, the eye test of the game.
It is kind of interesting that there seems to be a theme developing with this. And I know, you and I have talked about it, and we've heard a lot from folks in the chat and whatnot about, start with Derek. I just said Derek again. After I lit Vilma on fire, I went on DLP on Tuesday and said Derek Montgomery twice. And absolutely have to take the L for that as an idiot dunce camp mode. Oh my God. Just absolute fail factory that I am. My God.
You get David the double Montgomery. Bone. You get the double trombone, brother.
It's glandular. Anyway. So you've got Demo coming out in the end of these games. And I think you really start to see all of a sudden he comes in when the defense is sick and tired of dealing with the Lions, and that's a different animal after you've been chasing Jahmyr Gibbs all over the place and you're running down Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had another very quiet 100-yard day, just racks up 100 yards receiving. Like it's no big deal. And then you get Demo at the end, and this seems to be a pattern. And then in the fourth quarter, nobody wants to deal with him, and he's just knocking guys over for 8 and 9 yards at a chunk.
Yeah, man. To quote the great philosopher Cheech, I'm sick, up, and fed. That's no good there. All right, so Jamo, 1 run, 1 yard, and then is catching 1 catch for 9. Does that justify $80 million?
You're going to have a game where he catches it twice. He's got 118 yards and 2 tuds. Mm-hmm. So different beast. Last week was a bunch of targets, and he struggled this week. Not as many targets, but made something with it. He's still a guy you've got to account for. I mean, there's a reason the middle of the field's wide open when he's streaking through the middle of it towards the end zone, because they can't They can't leave the safeties up, which is why Saint has the room that he has. The offensive design is incomplete without him, whether he's getting the ball or not. So,
and that's
I'm all in on Jamo as a part of this offense.
What was his name? He was the brother of a million kids who played. Corey. He was a wide out, fast kid. Couldn't catch a ball to save his life. Corey had a brother play
Feldman
defense. No, played defense on the Texans. What was his name? Come on, Chad, help me out. Damn it. Guy was fast as hell. He was an absolute rocket, but Corey Fuller. Thank you, Gary. Corey Fuller.
Oh.
He was the guy that that was his role, but nobody believed he was going to do it. At least Jamo,
right.
there's a fear that he can actually do that. So there we go.
Oh, there's proof of concept with him. I mean, if he gets the ball, he's gone. You're not catching him.
So
you have to account for him,
right? He is a true threat, unlike Corey Fuller.
Sure.
Was, but it's neat to see this actually work with somebody who's an actual threat to the game. So,
right.
Oh man. All right, we're getting close to the coach being at the podium. We'll keep our eyes open for that and see what's going on. Amon-Ra, clean 100 yards today, receiving. Laporta, great game. 5 catches for 92 yards, man. That's Laporta very quietly. At the beginning part of the game was killing it, and then he's kind of settled in a little bit, had a drop. Like he kind of fell off, I guess, as the game went on, right?
Well, and I think it's a feature, not a glitch of this offense. You're going to get a certain number of touches for Amon-Ra. You're going to get Jahmyr and Demo their touches. But then Laporta is going to have a game where he's near 100 yards. You're going to have the Jamo game sooner or later where he goes off. There are going to be times. I mean, we've seen it with whether it was Tim Patrick or Leaf last year. There was a game where they would have multiple catches and they would be featured because the coverage moved that way. Well, Tesla's working his way into the lineup more and more. Had a touchdown. Once again, Amon-Ra St. Brown goes and gets the ball for him and makes sure that he keeps his touchdown ball. You're going to see those guys show up and flash in spots because there's only a couple of guys are going to be absolutely featured and get theirs every week to week, and those guys are St. John and Demo. After that, it's going to be what the matchups dictate. And you can't cover everybody in this offense as it's constructed right now. You just can't. You can't account for all of them. There's not a team with a defense that's that good. You just can't have that many difference makers in your secondary to cover all of those targets and everything the Lions can do.
Well, this is the thing. Here we go. Thomas, he said the offense 2 weeks in a row, not that good. Thank God we played against awful quarterbacks. We scored 37 points. We've scored 40 points. I mean, that's pretty good by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I think we're still the highest scoring team in the NFL right now. Total points scored. I don't know that I'm going to blame the offense right now, although they definitely left points on the table out there.
Yeah, they did. And, some of that owes to Cincinnati loading up the line of scrimmage and giving them fits on the offensive line. I don't think Graham Glasgow probably had his best day. He's not going to enjoy watching some of that film. Manu, we've already talked about at the left tackle spot. There were things to be dealt with there. This team, at least before this game, and it'll actually go up, they were a point a game ahead of the pace that they maintained last year when the god of offense, Benedict Johnson, was running things. They're a point a game ahead of that pace right now. And last year's offense led the league.
Yeah.
They're better than that this year currently. And that will go up again because they outscored. Last year it was 34 and change. They were 35 and change coming in. And, then they go ahead and, there's 37 points on the board. So
yeah,
2 of those you probably got to take away. But they're scoring as much as anybody. Like I said, it felt like they could have had 50 today.
Yeah.
If they'd have cleaned everything up.
Yeah. All right, we're watching. Coach is going to be on the podium very, very soon. A lot of chat going on. Some love for Tesla. Riley, I owe you an email. I saw it, brother. I just haven't had a chance to respond yet. Been crazy. A lot going on here in the chat. We'll get to the coach. He's going to be here any second. I know it. And the second I hand this off, Mike, you're going to start talking. I'm going to have to cut you off. But
well, that's all right. Like I said, I want to see what kind of mood he's in. I'm genuinely curious to see how he's reflecting on this in real time, because there were some things. Again, It's a 13-point road win, man. You take those all day. You're 4-1, just like the Eagles, just like the Bucs. Right there at the top of the NFC. So
we got to talk about Khalif too. We'll have to get rid of that, and then that's one that's he's such a lovable guy. You know what I mean? Damn it. It sucks to see something like that get hurt. So we'll get a follow up with him on that. I'm sure. Last week, coach in the locker room speech with the guys after the game was really complimentary, but he said it again. We all know we got stuff to clean up. Right. That was good, and I have a feeling that this is going to be a kind of double down on that message as far as you guys got to clean some shit up here now. And now we're not just talking, right? This is gonna hurt a little bit this week in practice.
Well, and I think I mentioned this on my Tuesday video when I wasn't butchering names and filming my way through things. If you're looking, really, I got another one of those. If you're looking at this team that's sitting at 4-1, they have not played their best ball yet, at all, and you know that. You know when you watch these guys that there are things they can clean up, the penalties especially. And if it isn't the number of penalties, it's the timing, just absolute killers. When your defense makes a big play and it gets undone, or your offense makes a big play and it gets undone. So there's room for improvement for a team that's playing pretty well and winning games left and right. They can still play better, and I've got to believe that's going to be a big part of Dan Campbell's message to this team and to the fan base and to his coaching staff, that they've got to be better, because they can be. They absolutely can be. There's no doubt.
Yeah. Just saw Julian, I believe it was Julian, Istanbul in the house. Yeah, Julian Meisner. I love it, man. I love the worldwide coverage of this. This is fantastic. Lions fans are everywhere, and love to see them tuning in. Decker, not someone we can count on. That's what we started with. The need for a left tackle is strong in this team. I think we're going to get we're really close to coach right now. It's minute, I promise he's coming. We're going to keep losing guys every week from Perry Ball. That's another one. And good teams don't play their best football in September and October. The Lions are just warming up. That's very true.
That's fact.
Here we go. We got coach on right now. Let's see if I can make all this work. All right.
Listen, man, that's a good win. That's a good win. We'll take that. Yeah, and man, do we have things to clean up? Was it perfect? No, it wasn't. But man, we did what we needed to do. Came in here, and I thought our guys were ready to compete. We fought, and once again, the best thing we did, we played complimentary football, and that's what great teams do, man. And we always find a way, man. I thought our defense came out hot. They set the tone for the game. Thought Shep, man, had an outstanding plan. Those guys were ready to go. What do we have? 3 takeaways? 3 takeaways, sudden change stops that we had. We throw the pick on offense. They're able to shut them down. We get the safety, And so I thought it was awesome. And then, we end up, when we need help, the offense responds. We go all the way down the field, finish that out, and really just kind of open it back up again. So really proud of the guys, and it's a good win. And now we got Kansas City coming up. Look, I haven't seen everything. Obviously, I'll know more tomorrow, but I thought Alex was all over the field, came up big for us. I thought Laporta was outstanding. St. Brown was outstanding. Derek Barnes, 7 tackles, the safety, all over the field. There's just a number of guys that we'll get to, but I just know with my own eyes, you could feel it and you could see it. And quarterback played, man, very efficient football. It wasn't better than David Montgomery. David had a perfect quarterback rating, but it was very close by a point. So,
shout out to Roberto in Brazil, brother. You and all your folks.
Defensive leaders, guys that you need big plays. Those are usually the guys that just how impactful were those. Then to turn those into 14 points, which really ended up being the difference in the end.
Sure was, and that's what we talk about is that they, when you really start getting good at them, you start hunting for them. Our guys are hunting for them. They become contagious, and this is the first time since I've been here that we've really. That I feel like we're getting them in bunches early in the year. Normally it comes a little later. So, man, I feel like there's blood in the water, man. Our guys are starting to feel it, man. They want to be the next guy who gets the punch out or the strip or the interception, and we're hunting. If the ball's in the air, we're going after it, and that's a tenacious defense. That's what they do, and that's what we're about right now. So, thought Shep did a great job. Players, man, responded and showed up, and I thought we were aggressive. Thought we hit hard. I thought we hustled. I thought we played pretty smart football for damn near most of that game. You know, there was a couple we gave up, but it's really good, man. Defense really showed up.
What do you attribute the defense?
I'll come back to you.
You know, it's been a couple games now where they haven't been getting the takeaways and the sacks and everything. So what do you attribute that to? I mean, is it something you thought different? Is it just because these guys are vaccinated before?
Yeah, no, listen, it's, you know, as always, we make an emphasis in practice. You know, we've got our, every day we do some type of takeaway circuit, just like we do ball security on offense. We start every day right out of warm-up, and we go into those. You know, we coach them, we teach them. We try to highlight it. We try not to, we don't want it to be lip service. You know, there's a conscious effort to work at it. And then, man, we showcase these things, man. We show the team. You know, it's important to us. And, you know, we show it in the defensive meetings as well. And so I think there's a pride about it. And I do think we got football guys. You know, I think we have ball guys. You know, BB and Branch and Alex and Jack, man, they're hunting for them. And when you make a conscious effort to go after them, or if the ball's in the air, that's my ball, I'm going to go get it, then, you know, good things happen. You know, they start coming out. So we're in a good place right now, and we're getting them, and we'll take them. We just got to keep working at it.
Coach, I know you guys are already nationally motivated, but when you get to share an experience like this with David Montgomery, and you come home, play in front of his family, how was that? What was the week like going into this week, especially after coming off last week's performance from him as well?
Yeah, you know, we wanted to get David going. You know, I wish we could have gotten it a little bit more. That's just kind of how the day went. But I wanted to get him going. We wanted to get him going because I knew this would be something special for him, and see if we can get him some more work than we did last week. You know, and look, that was a product of the week too. I mean, that was a product of how that game kind of went. It's we didn't want it to be that way. We want to get all our guys touches, man. We want to get St. Brown going. We want to get Ja going and Jamo and him and Laporta. But sometimes that's just the way it goes. And so it was good to get him a piece of that production to help us. That was good. You know, he got one throwing, he got one running. I thought he started to break it open in the second half, which was awesome. You know, started wearing down on that defense a little bit. And So that was good in that regard, man. I know that's special for him.
When we talk about heartbeat guys, just where's Montgomery on that, and what does he mean?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Just on heartbeat guys like Raymond last week and Montgomery this week, just what does he mean to this?
Everybody respects David Montgomery, and I think everybody roots for that guy because that guy will do anything for his teammates. Like, he lays it on the line on Sundays. He lays it on the line in practice. Like, you know what you're going to get out of David Montgomery. It's no different Saint. You know what you're going to get every Sunday out of St. Brown. You know, but David is that guy. Heartbeat, like Leaf, yes. So he's going to do whatever it takes. He'll stick his face up there in protection. He'll run the dirty runs. He'll run downfield to make a block for a teammate in the pass game. He's all fucking team. Excuse my language. But so love the guy. We're fortunate to have him, and he's a stud.
It's my coach.
Under the radar play that saving that ball on the goal line, kick comes on the next play on that special teams.
Yeah, big time.
Another one on Drew Holding special teams too. His contributions, I guess, beyond the one catches.
Yeah, big time. You know, and really the special teams aspect, we were going to need him to help us out. And you know, now that Dorse was down, and he did, man, huge plays. And then that, you know, the crosser there for the touchdown, that was big, man. You know, use his size, his length, and snag that ball away for a touchdown. You know, just thought he did some things. And then when we lost Leaf, you know, now he's got to go in and play, and there'll be some things that he hasn't repped. He may have walked through them, got the mental reps, but you didn't get the physical reps because those were Leafs. And now, you know, Scotty did a great job of moving those guys around a little bit. Okay, listen now, Tesla, you got to go here. You go to the Z. We need Saint. You sit at the F. Jamo, you got to go X. This one. Now you go to the Z. He goes there. So just thought they did a great job. But he stepped up for us.
What went into the Deckard?
Last three, John, Mike, and Sean.
How concerned are you?
That's three.
Man, it just, you know, every week the recovery has not, it's been less and less. He has not been able to quite catch up to, we feel like there's diminishing returns every week. Man, it's just a little, you know, and we just felt like, man, we need to give this guy a little time, you know. And I don't know how long, but this is so we get him back. That's what this is, man. Let's get this thing to calm down. Let's get some strength back in the shoulder to where he feels good. And so all of this is for a positive. We just felt like, man, coming down the wire yesterday, today, man, we need to back off of this and let's be smart with it. And so, so in that regard, I feel good.
How Gio played his?
Man, up and down, you know, up and down. I thought that he did some good things in the run game. I thought there were some play passes he did a good job, and then there was some that, man, they weren't good, and he'll learn from. He's got to learn from them, and that's what you look forward to, man. You don't want to have a couple of plays where your quarterback gets hit, but at the same token, that's probably the best way to learn too, because you don't want that to happen again. And it's like, man, what do I need to hone up? What can I do better? How do I handle this? But it's, you know, look, that's his first real taste of real football, NFL, true, you know, not preseason. It's real. So, so you grow from it. You know, it's a good experience.
Mike and Sean last year.
With the way that Manu played, you just touched on it, and answering John's question on Decker, is there any thought that maybe Manu could start against Kansas City, just give Decker a little bit more time to rest?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. You know, we're going to look at everything here. You know, certainly Skip's back, you know, so we'll look at Skip. We brought Devin Cochran today. He's a candidate. And then we'll see where Decker's at, obviously. That's always going to be our first choice, is to see where Decker is. But I don't want to put Decker out there if it means that we get a couple of games and we don't have him for the rest of the year. It makes no sense. So we'll play this smart. We'll do what's right, and then next man up. If it's not him, it's next man up. Whether that is Manu again, we'll see, or is it one of those other two guys I just mentioned?
Sean, last one.
Yeah, and you talk about things that played out, but I know that's usually every week. But do you feel like in some ways this team is kind of just scratching the surface?
Yeah, I feel like we have a ton of growth left. I do. I think where you get encouraged, I know for me, you know, I said this going into, here we go, man, 2 weeks in a row. And we got 2 wins out of that, right? Is, you know, you can get frustrated at times about some of the ebbs and flows of the game, man, we play so good, and then there's these stretches where it's, but ultimately what I feel good about is what I already mentioned, and that's the complementary football. Man, when we need it most, our defense steps up. When we need it most, our offense steps up. When we need it most, special team steps up. Those are signs of great teams, man, to me. And so we've got that part. That's the hard part. We got that. The other stuff, we can clean that up. And I think in that regard, yes, I think we still have so much growth left collectively that's the exciting thing. So, yes, we do.
You guys left Jared next.
Do you have an update on Ravens?
Yeah, Leaf, I'll know more. I don't
Get on
think,
camera, Dan.
I can't tell you what it's going to be next week, but this does not feel like some serious, you know, that doesn't mean he'll play next week, but it's good news in other words, you know. I mean, as a matter of fact, he told me that didn't feel too good, but I'm good. So that's what he said.
All right, there you go. All right,
that's
Coach
big
Campbell out.
right there.
Yeah.
Right there at the end, that bit about Leaf, that it might just be whatever happened today and he'll make it through. That's huge, because anything with a neck injury, man, you hold your breath.
The thing is when he moved his hands and he kind of went back and lifted his head and came back down, like I was like, okay, that's good news, right? That's like no nerve damage, right? I mean, so that's good.
Right.
I'm no fucking doctor, so you know whatever. But that
how about Dan dropping F-bombs?
Yeah, instead of just sitting there in the fencing position, right? I mean, good news. So, I was hoping to see him back today, but after a shot like that, they're not going to put him back in the game. So,
no, man, no, I think, that's all. Most of that's good news. Sounds like maybe he's setting up Decker to be out for the next 2 weeks. Get him through the bye. That would give him a solid month, right?
Yeah.
If he had somebody in for him the next 2 weeks, misses the next 2 games, that gets him an entire month to get whatever kind of rehab done in that shoulder that he needs to get done, because it just doesn't seem like it's getting better, and it sounded like, according to what Dan just said, it's getting worse. So,
yeah, it reminds me, it's something we haven't done yet that we need to. We have to give the lovable and beautiful Martha Ford a congratulations on her 100th birthday.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Really?
Isn't that wild? I saw that.
Wow.
It was like 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. She cranked the
man.
little 100, man. That's good stuff for her. Also, just got to give a shout out to our guy, Paul Madib. Or Madib. I don't know how to do it right, but we lost him. He went too soon. He was a guy from the Slack, one of our long-term friends, and we miss you, Paul. You're always a fun dude, man. So there you go. All right. Get that out, and we'll get in talking about some. I feel like I'm a Casey Kasem about to do the dedication. You know that outtake of his from
the long distance dedication
where he gets fucking ripping. Oh man, that's crazy.
Now I've got a letter from a girl named Jill.
I used to run that show. That's so fun.
So
see.
old.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about it. We got we'll take some phony calls right now. Let me get through this one thing really quick. It's that season where you're gonna be. It's the holiday squeezing. It's the holiday season. My balls need squeezing. That's it. And it's time to go squeezing your way into Amazon to do all your purchases. Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Get in there and do your shopping. This will push you right through. It just puts a cookie in your browser so they know we sent you, and they take a little money out of Amazon's pocket and put it in ours and help do the
80
show.
days.
Great way to
80 days until Christmas.
There you go. Great way to support the show.
80.
By doing something you were going to do anyway. That's
we're going to do anyway.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Julian, for the FTP super chat. Very, very kind of you. Let's get the phone number up there. It is 313-314-2421. And that does not mean that we will preclude the Jared Goff press conference. When he comes on, we'll get him here as well. But join us via the telephone and give us your feelings on today's outcome of the Detroit Lions and Cincinnati Bengals. Okay.
First world problems, right? Everything we're going to talk about for the rest of the show.
Well,
we got first world problems.
They're talking about Martha Ford lining up for Manu. So that is one kind of problem. Hey, caller, what's your name? How much have you had to drink so far in this wonderful victory Sunday? You there, caller?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right. How you doing, man? How's it feel?
Well, it feels great. This is Riley O'Brien, and I was pushing trying to get in the queue last week. There was too many people calling in, so I think, am I the first call?
You are the first call, Riley.
That's awesome, man. Hey, it's great to be able to be on with you and with Michael Gray. Michael Gray, you are awesome, man. It's great to see you back on the Detroit Lions podcast.
Oh, thanks, man.
With the gray area, outstanding work. So yeah, this was a awesome game, and this is just another. They showed that stat with Jared Goff since 2024: first in completion percentage, first in pass yards, second in passer rating, third in passing touchdowns. I had no idea that's the quarterback that the Lions were getting when they made that trade, and he just continues to lead the offense. And I love what Michael was just saying. I have reasonable expectation that the offense will just continue to be a really, really good offense and get better.
All of that from a guy that was being propped up by Ben Johnson, right? If it wasn't for Sean McVay and Ben Johnson, Jared Goff's just a backup. He's just a guy. He's got no skills. He's got to be propped up by a roster around. Yeah, he's falling out of his mind. Every week, he just goes out there and quietly takes care of business.
And that maturity,
that's what
that maturity that the way he carries it so quietly, even on those touchdowns, those big touchdowns, he runs down, tap on the guy's helmet, great work, awesome, moves on. You can tell he feels it in the moment, and he's really excited by it, but he's already on to the next. He's an eminent professional out there. It's really something to see somebody who's this good at the mind part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, I know you were a believer in Jared Goff right at that time of the trade. You weren't one of the people that, like me, that thought, oh, he'll be here for a year or two, and then, he'll just be the bridge guy. But it's crazy. I had no idea that if you told me that those would be Goff stats, when they made that trade, I just, what world are we living in? Well, the world we're living in, the Lions are 4-1 now. From week 1, and you guys were talking about it here just a minute ago, but to think if at the end of the game week 1, how the team looked, if you started saying, hey, Decker's going to start missing time, there's all these secondary injuries, the panic was so obvious and easy to feel, but it doesn't feel that way now. Now it feels like what Coach Campbell was just saying, you can plug these other guys in, buy Decker some time, and still win games. It's a very, very good football team, which I know is incredibly obvious. But
Yep. Hey, Riley, we're gonna pop. Thank you for calling. I know I owe you an email, brother, but we've got Goff at the podium. We're gonna bring him on. All right.
You got it, guys. Appreciate your work.
All right, brother. Thank you. Ciao.
You got it.
Got Riley. We got Jared. This is all going just so well right now. Let's bring it together.
How fun is it when your defense gives you 3 takeaways like that?
Yeah.
Start at the 17 and the 20 or whatever, turn those into points.
Yeah, it feels like the last 2 weeks they've done that for us and given us short fields, and I think we capitalized on all of them but one tonight. Want to capitalize on all of them, and it's a big emphasis for us to continue to do is score off turnovers, especially at the clip our defense is getting them. So, yeah, a little area we can be better at, but they're doing a hell of a job.
You guys dialed up the touchdown pass for David. I'm just curious, from a player's perspective, how much does it mean when the team puts an effort into giving you a memorable moment in your homecoming game like you guys did for David?
Yeah, I don't know if that's why we did it. I think it was just a good play for this week. I think it, maybe the idea was to get him in the end zone in that way, but I don't know. I think it was really cool for him coming back here, seeing you could see the emotion he was dealing with, and being back here for the first time, I believe, in quite some time for him, and playing in front of some of his family, and it was cool. It was so cool. I wanted him to score so bad. The touchdown that he threw was kind of like, we need to get him in the end zone himself. So when he finally scored at the end there, it was fun.
What's your film breakdown of David's?
Perfect.
Style and his execution.
1-for-1 touchdown. It's pretty good stats to me.
I can't wait to see the film, but just maybe on the fly, what you thought of man who's stepping in there.
I thought he fought his tail off. It's hard, man. It's his first game, and everybody's first game. There's going to be mistakes made, and that's what I tried to tell him is, dude, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay. Like just as long as the next one is better, and the next one you learn. I thought he fought hard. I know there's a couple he'd like back, but I thought he did some good things in the run game, and even the pass game there were some good moments too. But he fought.
Going into Sam Laporta's hot start, and this is big day. How were you able to feed him as much as you were today?
Yeah, it was fun. I think we got him that one early down the sideline, then he scored later that drive. He's a big part of our offense, and again, we feel like we say it every week, but the more we get him involved, typically the better things are, and today was one of those days for him.
How was your Laporta secret weapon on the test line? I mean, he had 3 for 3 on his catch. Just talking about the
He had 3 catches?
No, just this season.
Oh, yeah, sure. No, he has had 3 big catches. He's been great. I think today the Leaf goes down. He has to fill in, play a lot of plays he probably hasn't practiced yet. He had to be studying, and it was cool to have him out there and catch that touchdown. It's great. Yeah, he played well.
You guys seem to play a complementary football. I mean, at least you have that, which figures why you're 4-1. Just how important is that for good football teams to play as complementary as you guys have played here to begin the season?
That really is kind of our hallmark these last 4 wins. When we've needed it on offense, they've picked us up on defense. When they've needed some help, we've picked them up on offense, and it hasn't always been perfect on both sides, but it always seems to be at the right moment. One of us is making the play that's helping out the other. Special teams as well. Obviously with last week with Khalif, and some of the punts Fox had today were just field flippers are huge. It's really huge. So yeah, we pick each other up. Good teams do that, and good teams win a lot of games in a row, and that's 4 in a row for us, and feels good.
Going back to the test line real quick, just you've had new receivers and new tight ends come in over time, and you take some time to gain trust with them. Where do you think that you are? How comfortable do you feel with test lines?
Very, very comfortable. His route tree will continue to grow. The stuff that we like him on right now is I'm very comfortable with him and then as we go on, there will be more things that I become very comfortable with him. But he's got great hands. He catches the ball away from his body. For me as a quarterback, that's like the number one thing that makes me pretty confident to throw it to you when you catch it away from your body. He's strong, he's physical, he's fast, he's smart, he does all the right things right. So just as time goes on, he'll continue to get more and more. Good.
Thank you.
Let's go Tigers. Go Scooble.
All right, there you go. I got to tell you what. Go ahead.
He's officially more a Lion than a Ram today.
Yeah.
Today was the day.
Yep.
He's played more games in a Detroit uniform than an L. And what does he end with? Go Scoobs.
Yeah.
Right?
Those are the only Bengals we want to win today, right?
Yeah,
them Tigers.
I'm actually. I have the score. I have the scoreboard minimized in front of me, so it's still 0-0 right now in the bottom of the first. So
there you go. Yeah, no. The thing I saw, it just kind of hit me watching him just now. The world moves really slow for Jared Goff. Like if you look at his eyes, and it's funny. Like for a long time, people just looked at him and saw his and thought it was because he was so dumb. They thought he was dumb, like because of the look in his eyes. But he's bored because it's moving so slow. Like he's processed past what they're saying already. You can really see it. It's interesting. And even like when they talk about Tesla, the laugh he had, you could see the flash that happened in his head of something probably that was said or happened in the locker room or something, just something that they had that they shared, right? It was a laugh and a kind of like, yeah, right. And about his story or whatever. But it's really interesting to watch the way he processes, man. And it shows obviously as a quarterback, but I think I think his brain is always doing that when he's just walking around. You know what I mean? It's pretty interesting.
Well, and it's the secret to why this offense has actually improved without Ben Johnson, despite all of the offseason narratives about how it was going to fall apart. He's running this thing on the field like a coach would. He knows all of it. He's so involved with the offensive design and the game plan, and so intricately, knowledgeable about every phase of everything they're doing, all of the calls, all of the whys. And he's talked about it a bunch, in various interviews, is making people understand the whys and making sure that he understands the why, and that the coaches take the time to explain that. Like, okay, you want to do this here, why? And the fact that he's going to that's that PhD level, that's that 300 level classwork. We're like, all right. No, I can execute it, but I need to know why, because I might have a better idea. Yeah. I might have something else that will work in this scenario. I've got some concepts myself. He talked about having a seat at the table going back a couple of years when Ben Johnson was just kind of working his way up the ranks as the offensive coordinator, and how he felt like he deserved a seat at the table in designing the game plan and understanding the approach and the attack on offense. And, there were times where I heard him, I'm like, okay, I get it. You want to be involved. It can almost sound ego driven, but now you watch him with a new offensive coordinator and you watch the way that he's operating this offense. And again, 19 of 23 today.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown dropped one of those. So, that's not normal. That could have been 20 of 23 right there. And this is just a ho-hum day for him.
Yeah.
He's throwing 70, 80, 90% completion percentages for big chunks of games. And I mean, hell, he had one last year where the ball didn't touch the ground. So he's operating at an incredible level. I know I saw some comments coming up that, he's not a franchise QB. He's not this, he's not like, you can have that conversation with yourself, but you're going to have to miss me with it, because he's just executing at an unbelievable clip.
Yep.
And that's why this offense hasn't missed a beat.
I've left Mike Hodges' chat message up there because it's such a good one. I trust Jared Goff ever since he told us the gut punches will stop.
All I'm saying is we will remain true. We'll remain resilient, and the gut punches will stop.
And there it is. And there's this. I swear to God, when this team wins a Super Bowl, that has to be the gut punches have stopped. That has to be the billboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking Jared Goff, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, and the Detroit Lions have stopped the fucking gut punches. It's one of the things I look at it, and I'm so glad I grabbed that quote from him, because he got made fun of so bad for that. So freaking bad. Go ahead and use the phone. Everyone got the phones open for you. But that one just pissed me off, the way he got pilloried and made fun of for that, because he was speaking from the soul, and he brought the freaking bank account to make those checks cash. And there's something to be said about that. And that guy brought it's kind of like I talked about before, how you don't realize how good a player is when they're playing. You realize they're great and it's fun, but you don't realize like where they sit in the historical levels. I gotta tell you, Jared Goff historically for this Lions team is going to be something that people talk about for a very, very long time, and he came in after Matthew Stafford, which is bananas.
Well, and look at all of the numbers that this offense is rolling up. You had Daryl Johnson in the booth for the Fox crew with my buddy Kevin Kugler, and he's talking about the touchdown record and the fact that now Jamo and Ja have got 14 games where they both have and they've done it in 2.5 seasons as opposed to the 9 that it took for Dallas. You look at all of the career numbers that Amon-Ra is racking up. And I've put those in my last 2 Tuesday shows, just going through the Twitter feed from Detroit Lions PR and all of these franchise marks that are being set. Well, it's because of this offense. When you're putting up 30, 40 points a game, you're going to have these guys that are in the rarest of air, and he's right in the middle of it. He's smack in the middle of it. And I think, the other thing that can get lost, and I was guilty of it. I'll be honest. I was not a big fan of Goff when he arrived. Didn't know much about him other than, what you had heard out of LA. And I spent some time covering the NFC West, and, the scuttle behind the scenes on him wasn't great. And he's proven everybody who doubted him wrong. And he adopted that gut punches thing is all about the holistic approach that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have taken to this franchise. They haven't left anything out. It's not just a football operation. They wanted it to be reflective of the city. They wanted it to be reflective of the population and the fan base and the history and everything that goes into that area as a community. And the guys that they've brought along, the ones that have become their core foundational players, guys like Jared Goff, have adopted that. He said the gut punches will stop. Not him. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars. Ain't no gut punches. His wife's a supermodel. He's living a good life.
He's got a beautiful
He was talking
kid.
about the fans. He was talking about us and the city and the fan base and all of that, because the guy knew a little something about being doubted and being sneered at and being made fun of and, made to look silly. Well, here we are, 4-1, tied for first in the NFC. And, 2 games before the bye, and they just won a game on the road by 13 points with their left tackle and their CB1 not in the lineup. We got first world problems. There are some things you can clean up and things you can fix. I'm not saying it was perfect. It wasn't. But man, oh man, that guy in the center of it all, keeping it calm, keeping it focused, and producing the way he's producing, you're going to have a shot every week. You, as a Lions fan, you got a shot every week to win the game.
Yeah. It's something. And it's funny because there's a little bit of revisionist history. There's a little bit of kind of making people feel good. They're like, well, he's okay. He just needed coaching. And I'm like, didn't he just win the shootout game against the Rams when he was in, or against the Chiefs when he was a Ram? Like, remember that? Was a Thursday night game or a Sunday night game? Yeah. With like 100 million points, and he blew that one out. Took the team to a Super Bowl. Like, it seems like he had all the skills. You know what I mean? He had all the skills. They just didn't come together that one year. I don't know that it's a coaching thing. I mean, I think everybody grows as their career goes on, and they get better until they don't, right? Until their body physically doesn't allow them to anymore. But I think that we've seen growth out of him, but I don't know that he needed a whole bunch of coaching to get here. I think he just needed a team and the right setup, man. And you think about how humiliating it is to be in LA, the quarterback of that team, and then to be publicly humiliated the way he was by McVay and that team, and gaslit into you ain't all that, even though you made a Super Bowl and you carried that team a number of times, right? Crazy what that could do to somebody's brain. And you talk about resilience and what makes a man. Phew, crazy, man. Crazy to have to go through that.
And that was the part, where I got to give Brad Holmes a nod, because he knew this and understood this better than anybody, having been involved with the Rams. He knew that Goff was going to be able to deal with that first season under Dan Campbell, because it was going to be ugly. I mean, Brashad Perriman, anybody you remember him? Yeah. It was going to be a really rough year, and he knew that Goff was built to the kind of stuff where he could go in and deal with that and all of the naysayers and all of the flack and all of the bad press conferences and all of that stuff, and not be broken by it. He understood that about Goff. I had serious doubts about it, because I think we all knew it was going to be a rough year. That roster was dog shit. and they just didn't have the horses. But they had to go in and they had to do it 17 times, and he knew that Goff could do that and not be busted up by it. And that you cannot make enough of that, because the fact that he walked out of that unscathed and was able to come into the second season and start the first half of the second year not great, and then start to build up to the point where since that point in 2022, nobody's won more games in the National Football League than the Detroit Lions. Nobody.
Yeah,
39-10.
I really quick
Crazy.
before people fall off the wagon and hit their heads. Goff carried the Rams. I can't get behind that. He did in that run against Mahomes in that Sunday night game. I'm not saying he carried that team all the time, but there were absolute games where Jared Goff carried that team. I wouldn't say that he's the only reason the Rams did as well as they did and that he carried a bad team to that point. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there were games that they won solely because of Jared Goff. There are games that they won solely because of that kneeless running back that they used to have, whose name escapes me at the moment.
Gurley.
Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley. He was on my fantasy team. That's the nature of the game. No one person wins every game for a team, but he was very big and at some crucial points in that. So.
Well, and I don't care what you do for a living. It's not that hard to understand what can happen to the highest performer. However good you are at your job, if you're in a bad culture or you have bad leadership anywhere in the managerial ownership, wherever it is, whatever it is you do, when management is bad, it doesn't matter how good you are. It's always going to be marginalized because the structure and the culture of where the place where you're doing business isn't built to maximize its people. And I think that's one of the things that Campbell has gotten more right than anything is finding the right people and then turning it over to them and making sure they're in the best position to do what they do best. And he's been, Goff has been awesome. He's been absolutely awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we got the phones open. 313-314-2421. Give us a ring. 313-314-2421 and get in here. I might set up another line like WhatsApp or something. Let our international friends get on board the magic bus and talk to us too. But we'll get there. Gray Area is a perfect name for Gray's weekly show because the man spits facts. Pretty black and white knowledge on things. Brilliant game. I got to tell you though, Gray, for real. The you coming back's been awesome, but what you've done with this Gray Area, you found the turkey hole, my friend, and you've just filled it.
I don't know how I feel about any of that sentence, but it's been a lot of fun. If I could just remember everybody's damn name, so make myself look a fool.
Yeah,
sorry, David.
Dare.
The weird thing is I didn't even hear myself do it. And it was one of those things like I didn't even, it's like I've been on the radio. I mean, I do my radio gig and I've been doing it for like 30 years. And like twice in my career, I have cussed and just didn't notice. Kind of like what Dan did in the post-game present where he dropped that F-bomb and then was like, oh, sorry. Because he heard it. And it's only happened to me a couple of times where it just like slips out. And I was like, and I have people get big eyes, like, what did you just say? Like, what? Did I? Oh no. And that one didn't even catch it. And then got justifiably hammered in the comments on YouTube. So tip of the cap, the internet's undefeated. I deserve that. So.
Yeah, it happens. I'm anxious to see the PFF. I mean, Manu was at a 64 prior.
Oh.
I'm wondering where he's going to be, but I'm looking across the line. Tesla is at 73. Our offense, our lowest scoring player. Okay, I'm looking right here. Yep. Okay, the second lowest scoring player on the offense is Jamo. By PFF's numbers. The worst is Glasgow. So there you go.
Graham did not have a good game. He's not going to enjoy that tape. He got matadored a couple of times and just missed a guy and then wound up, on his chest on the field while Jared was running for his life. So he'll not enjoy looking at that. And not for nothing, Chris Jones is next week. So
never heard of him. Never heard of him.
Fix that. Well, you will. That man's a nightmare. So.
Oh man! All right. Well, we're looking at that. We'll give it one more call for the calls. One more yell for the calls. I don't know. Give us a call. 313-314-2421. 313-314-2421. We'll make that available to all of you, and we'll start kind of grinding into the slow slide to mediocrity that is the week and the work week. But we have Sunday Night Football to watch, so that'll be good. Kirby,
make a baseball, bro. Come on now. Tigers are playing.
Oh yeah, I forgot. But
LDS,
it's,
my man.
Scooble, it's a win. I mean, let's just move on.
Well, I'm not. I watched
if the
September,
bets show up.
Right?
If the bets show up, right? All right.
Well, at least one. You got to have at least one. You can't win with 0 runs. They've proven that.
I'm going to give the most maligned player on the Lions defense who's got a PFF score higher than you would imagine. Okay, so
PA?
the PF. Nope. He's not got a great PFF score. I'll just yell it. The guy with the green dot, Jack Campbell. He's up in the 90s. He's like, but you see him whiffing here and there and missing plays, but he's very quietly the second highest rated person on our defense behind Hutch.
Yeah, well, and I think you've seen his usage change a little bit. And again, I haven't looked at the all 22s, and here's a secret that I'll share with the internet. Most of the people that look at the all 22s, they're just dudes looking at a TV screen. They don't know any more about this than you do.
But they call it the all 22 because it makes them feel good.
Right. They're like, well, I reviewed the game film. So you watched football? Congratulations. Genius. One of the things just anecdotally that I think I've seen, the first couple of games, they were sending Campbell on those blitzes, and he couldn't wait to run face first into a guard. He would run into a block on all of them. And it feels like, and again, I haven't reviewed it, so I don't know, but it feels like they've backed off on that, and Barnes is now doing that. You saw it with the safety where he came in, had that sick shoulder move, and went and shot that gap to get the sack there in the end zone. So it feels like they're, Kelvin Shepard, let's not forget, he's 5 games into being a defensive coordinator. He's still figuring it out, and he's still going over film and finding things that work and didn't work and making adjustments as they go. So Campbell's played really, really well, and my God, do you not want to be hit by that man?
Yeah,
easy to forget. He's a legit 6'5", not a roster 6'5". That's a big dude.
He's a big boy.
He's a throwback. He could play middle linebacker in 1986. Like, that is a large human
for the Giants. Let's think about this really quick. Real fan. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are doing something different, thinking outside the box. Most NFL coaches and managers are arrogant. I kind of want to hit this. This is a really, really good point. We talked about this at the end of the BQ and Matty P era, that we're sick of being the 1985 New York Giants and running a team like it's 1985. We need to be ahead. And we talked about the Rams and McVay at that point, kind of pushing the league, changing the way the offense, changing the way the game is played, and forcing other teams to come to their style of play. We've seen it. Like we've heard announcers in games say that, oh yeah, well, Dan Campbell goes for it on 4th down, so that forces you to do it now, and starts dictating the game to other. We have, we talk about all these innovative plays from the Johnson era, now into the Morton era, and we have Monty throwing his second touchdown of his career, and a lot of this innovative stuff going on as well. We are changing the face of football. We are a team that is absolutely the kind of McVay run team of now that we were talking about back then. We've literally, truly gotten our wish. And that's one of the things that makes us so great we have high quality players, but if you try to play them like it's a 1985 New York Giants, like Patricia was doing, you're going to have the same results that Patricia had. We're playing, we've upgraded our players, but we're playing them in a way that other teams don't know how to counter because they haven't seen it yet. And they're not built for that. They're built for the 2025 NFL. We're built for the 2026 and a half NFL. We're like ahead of the learning curve, and we are the ones teaching the rest of the league. And that's a really, really special place to be, because I think back to like when the Bengals or Boomer Esiason, with all the tricky bullshit and the gadget stuff they were doing, they were thinking ahead, but it was all gadget trickeration built on a house of cards stuff. This is fundamentally real football. This is the stuff that's built out of the brains of Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, the whole crew up there. This is something the Lions fans, as much as I talk about not realizing in the moment how good it is, we need to realize in the moment how great this fucking team is and how we are dictating to the NFL what the future looks like of football.
Well, and I think that's born of two things. One, you got to have a real talent, and Brad Holmes obviously and Dan Campbell have unquestionable talent. And then there's the kind of intangible piece that is the cohesion within your organization. You can't have any competing agendas. You can't have anybody who isn't on message with everything you're doing. You know, I mean, I would take it a step further beyond just the brand of football that's being played on the field and look at the way the roster is constructed. You remember the year that Gibbs and Jack Campbell were drafted. There was absolute abject horror throughout the draft verse about how you don't take running backs and you don't take off-ball linebackers in the first round of the draft. The opportunity cost is too high. It's a wasted opportunity. The Lions have lost their way. They don't know what they're doing. They're going to suffer for this. And then Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell happened. And what? Anybody want to go back and do that now? Anybody want to go back and undo that? Do you think this team is the same without them? They have a plan, and they are absolutely in lockstep on all of this stuff. And that's the only way that you accomplish that. Because you're right. You're right. They're building something in the way that they do it, and the way that they've built it has become a model, and it's turned into an identity. It always bugs me. I'm going to go off on a tangent here with one of my pet peeves, but every year in the draft, you hear like, oh, of course, that's the most Ravens pick ever. And they say it no matter who the Ravens take. Right. They could take a long snapper in the first round. They're like, well, of course, he's a Baltimore Raven. And the Lions are there now. When they take Tyreek in the first round, and everybody's like, well, I don't know. He was the 50th guy on my board, but in Detroit, that makes a lot of sense. I know what they're going to do with him, and he's going to be a problem. And he is. And he hasn't played a game with Aleem yet. Not once. So
next week, right?
You start to – right, well, maybe, next week, week after. That Patrick Mahomes guy's good. You might want to get somebody on him. Throw the kitchen sink at that dude. By the way, you know who Patrick Mahomes hasn't beaten head-to-head ever? Jared Goff. So, just something.
Damn. I'm getting dizzy. All the blood is rushing out of my head.
So, yeah, it's it really is something to see kind of how this is going on. And now this season, this 5-game stretch to start the year with all of the offseason chatter about the brain drain and everything else. And you come to find out that the guys at the head of the table that put this thing together know what the hell they're doing. And they've done such a good job that now it persists without them. It goes on without their defensive and offensive coordinator. It goes on without all those position coaches that left because they weren't the key to the thing. The key to the thing are the guys in charge. And it's been something to watch, man. Like I said, first world problems. Just won a road game against an AFC squad by 13, and we've done nothing but pick at it because that's where we are. It's privilege.
Isn't that wild? I mean,
it's weird.
I have done so many post-game shows, the Patricia era, the post-game shows we did. After, I mean, just looking for anything like, misery, man. But this is something, right? To be able to pick this apart. It's a different kind of living. My pinky goes up when I drink tea now. I mean, it's fantastic.
You drink tea.
I do like teabagging. All right, with that, let's talk about the show and the end of the show. Mike, as much as I look like looking deep into your eyes as we broadcast here, it's time to depart. It's time to depart. Don't forget us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Give us all your love. If you do $5 a month of love, we'll give you some love back. We'll get you into the Slack chat. Get in there. Fun with that. It's a great place, like with great people. Have a little fun, putting a little bot in there, a little LLM bot. It's still tweaking it. Some love it, some hate it. It's not right yet, but it's kind of funny to follow the progress of this. It's its own whole side conversation. But
this is what happens when an IT guy gets a hold of the controls and starts messing with things.
Make sure to follow us on the Twitter and the B Sky, Michael Gray, the Michael Gray. There's just one. And DET Lions.
All the platforms.
DET Lions podcast. Get us up there. You see all the action that's going on with the show. And we'll do that. Quietly have to remind people that we forgot to say this during the show. Our man Aiden Hutchinson is tied for the most sacks in the league already.
Yeah, now imagine if he'd gotten the 3 or 4 that he's been robbed of by his own secondary.
I love that it really truly makes you angry. That's the part about it. Like, it's not bullshit anger. It's for real. I love that.
Oh, my God. It makes him angry, too. Did you see it today when he thought he had a safety and then he turned around and he saw the flag and he's like, I'm going to come over there and snap somebody like Bo Jackson with a baseball bat if you guys don't knock it off. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Give us a call on the old Lions line. That is 313-314-2421, 313-314-2421. We'll take your messages. We'll absorb them. We may even put them on the show during the week. Have some fun with those if you get us some good stuff. It turns out the drunker you are when you leave a message, the more likely we seem to be to use your message on the weekly show. Weird correlation. I don't know how that happens, but
another thing.
Be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com, subscribe to the podcast, because we will pop into the things you put in your ears and face and all that automatically. Yeah. Just whatever, all that stuff. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems, because you got the gray area on Tuesday. You got the DLP on Wednesday. You got Bish Brown Thursday or Friday. You might even see a little Ash. You might even see some extra stuff. You've got a hell of a week ahead of you. Detroit Lions content coming with the Detroit Lions podcast.
Quick naming idea: Piece of Ash.
Piece of Ash.
If he's only going to pop. Yeah, if he's just going to pop in from now and again, it's time for a piece of Ash. Just say it.
We are your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. I love that. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum.